So this time around, we're going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to read the essay. I'm going to call it an essay. I'm going to read the essay that I wrote about this subject in its entirety verbatim, and then we're going to talk about it. I think that's the best flow for what I'm doing here. So we're going to get into this one, and it is called The Lie. I thought I was on the way. At this point, I have spent years planning for all the things I was going to do. Was I really going to start a mobile detailing company? Yes, and I knew exactly how I was going to market, what products I was going to use, what services I was going to offer, how much I was going to charge, how I was going to build my website, my socials, the name, at what point I would file for a business license and get insurance. I had it all figured out. And maybe I did make some money when I started. Got a few of those things checked off the list, but I knew right away that I would never reach the goal I had told everyone about. I thought part of the process was talking to my friends and family about all the great things I was going to accomplish with this business and how I was going to do it. The mere act of talking about it felt like progress, like I was becoming something or someone, but it was all just noise. The moment I tried to start it up for a second time, I realized what I was doing. I loved talking about all the ways it was going to be great, but the truth is, that's the only part I enjoyed. I didn't want to figure out insurance or a business license or make cold calls and market my services. I didn't want to do any of the real work. It was all a lie to feel like I was doing the thing. I was researching, thinking, planning, trying, but as it turns out, activity does not equal progress. Simply talking about the thing made me feel good, like I was a step ahead of everyone else, but it wasn't real. If you've ever talked about starting a business or project you're passionate about, or learning a skill, but you haven't made a single significant step towards completing the goal, then you are no further ahead than when you started. That was my reality. I planned, prepared, researched, and analyzed my way to imagining myself at the top of the mountain. Before I had even laced up my shoes, I avoided the work, sometimes because it was hard, or I didn't quite understand where to start, but even more so because starting means people would see me, which means they'll watch as I struggle to learn new skills. I would fail, publicly, and that was unnerving. In one moment, I had convinced myself that I belonged at the top, and in the next, I had decided that I was surely guaranteed to fail, and that I was crazy for even thinking I could do it. And before I knew it, years had passed me by, and I was no further than where I had started. That created a power vacuum for shame and frustration. It took over my mind and poisoned the ground where my dreams were. It's where I had to decide if I was going to shrink back into the person I was, or pursue the endless challenge of becoming the person I knew was clawing to get out. Well, all of that seems horrifying. Starting doesn't have to be perfect. If you aim for the starting line, not the finish line, and do your best to be directionally correct, then you will make progress. Whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. I am no longer permitting myself to identify as the person who is on their way. Rather, I aim to be the person that does the work, even if it's not perfect. I'd rather fail publicly but forward than remain stagnant privately. So, that's so for some context on the detailing. I started that business twice, under the same name both times, and a few things, minor details changed. The second time, I was going to change up my uh, intended market, who I was going to target, but ultimately the concept was the same: clean cars for money. And the tricky part about that one is I'm good at it, and I know that it's very apparent, but I don't enjoy it. It's not scalable with a career my current 9 to 5. Um, it just wasn't feasible. It's not a feasible like side hustle developing into a business or a career. It's impossible to scale by myself. And for what I was doing, I can't pay someone to do it at the start of it, right? But talking about it and having all these what ideas that I thought were amazing and different and unique and were going to make my business stand out. It felt It felt great. It felt like, man, I'm making progress. I got all these ideas. Like, look at me. I'm coming up with it. I'm doing the thing. I'm starting it. But the whole time in the back of my mind, I knew that I wasn't going to do it. It's just just a feeling that I had. Like that I was the deadline was going to come, and I was going to let it pass, and I was going to keep pushing it back, and that's what happened. And ultimately, I decided that it wasn't scalable, thus not feasible, and just mothballed the whole thing. Um, but it doesn't matter how many times you do that. All that matters is that you make progress towards your goal, and it doesn't need to be massive steps every time. It just needs to be progress. It can be as simple as just shipping an episode once a week, regardless of how it comes out. It's just getting repetitions in. It's the only way you gain real experience is doing the thing, not talking about it, not analyzing it, not researching it. There's 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 an infinite amount of experience to gain by doing it, and there is no experience to gain by talking about it. And I've learned that one the hard way a couple times. And that's why I just ship these episodes every Monday. Recorded on Wednesday, shipped on Monday. Even if the editing isn't great, or I don't like the lighting, or I fumble on my words, or I lose a train of thought in the middle of talking, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I get the reps in and I stay consistent. You can improve as you go. You don't need to be like just perfect. Something else that I was thinking about today is comparison, and how oftentimes we're told not to compare ourselves to other people or other things, and where they're at and what they've accomplished. And I think how you view it matters. The context of your comparison matters. Because if you're looking at where somebody else is and they're where you want to be, and all you can think is, man, I'll never get there, then that's bad. But if you go, okay, that's my North Star. Where did he start? Where did that person start? And you go research, go learn, and see what their step one looked like. And at least in my experience, it can be surprising how not good their first episode was. But I mean, if they're 1,000 episodes in, of course they're great now. You don't do something 1,000 times and still suck at it. It's like if you do something 1,000 times and you still can't do it and it's still bad, that's like, you might be retarded, right? It's also it's an easy trap to fall into, to just sit around and kind of discuss ideas you have or things you want to do amongst your group of friends. And I I've had the same group of friends for 16 years, give or take. And I love all of them to death. And we have an awesome time just bullshitting about whatever. And and it's great. I wouldn't trade that for the world. And every once in a while, we'll have an idea that I think is actually a good idea, and like one of us needs to do that, and no one ever does, including myself. I'm not absent from that, but it's just interesting to kind of remove yourself from these situations and think about it objectively. Like, what could you accomplish if you took yourself seriously and actually followed through on some of the ideas that you had? And you might start it like a detailing business and get a little ways into it and think, "Ah, this one ain't it. I don't like cleaning, dirty minivans and mushed in French fries under the seat. Like, it's just not like I wanted to detail Ferraris and Porsches, you know, classic muscle cars, iconic JDM cars. Skyline, Supras, NSXs. I didn't want to clean a fucking Subaru Crosstrek, you know, or a Forester. Not to pick on Subarus. Um, it's just. But in that environment, you have to do one to get to the other. You don't just show up detailing $500,000 cars. And I understood that. That was the plan. But you start doing the work and you realize what it's going to take. And that's where a lot of dreams die. Um, and you just have to find one. You try enough of them, you'll find one where you go, okay, this is something that I want to keep doing. Like it doesn't matter if nobody's watching. I am enjoying this, so I'm going to continue to do it. And that's why I started this. Like, I would much prefer to like have somebody to banter with in this, but I very much enjoy writing the thoughts and the essays and the dogs are about to fight. I very much enjoy writing the thoughts and the essays and exploring the ideas and pondering the psychology and the theology or philosophy behind it. Like I love that. So it's not that I don't like this, but I'm hoping this grows into there's always somebody here to talk to because I think those conversations are are some of the best moments when you can just like actually sit, one on one or one on two or whatever and not have any distractions and just like lock in with each other and talk about whatever it is that that comes up. It doesn't need to be like this structured conversation. Just be whatever's on the mind. You can spend an hour and a half talking about the best fucking gyoza, which I learned today that gyoza and pot stickers are not the same thing. I thought for sure that pot sticker was slang for gyoza, but I was corrected this afternoon. But yeah, don't fall into the trap of talking about it until you're 50 and having done nothing. It can feel like research and research and uh, analyzing and theorizing and coming up with all these ideas and how you're going to enact them and what you're going to do and all these great plans. Like, it's just not, none of it beats just doing it. The best thing you can do is to just take the first step. It doesn't have to be big, just directionally correct.